Hi guys, welcome to this video. I thought I'd film a session of myself playing the solo mode of Loyalty and Deceit. You can see the box here, and show you a little bit about what's new in the game, how it plays with the solo mode, and a chance to see some of my thought process, whether you agree or not, whether I've made some of the right moves, and we'll see how we get on. So underneath these two boxes I have the setup game ready to go. For the board setup, I've actually gone for I would say a semi-random setup. I've made sure, of course, that I have at least one action space, at least one build space, at least one of each of the golden food resources, and at least one loyalty space here. So the board is ready to go. I set up this one on hard, which means the Automa is going to get 2 of the starting resources each, so 2 gold and 2 food. And in addition, for hard mode, for the Loyalty and Deceit expansion, the Automa also starts with 1 favor token. Now these favor tokens are one of the early prototype ones that have the double side with the Shinchoku logo here and the Tsuyo logo here. They've since changed to be double-sided, and so the side is not important, but I'm using these ones for this game. So I'm just going to place the 4 meeples here on their 4 corners, and I can start by taking the first move of the game. First objective here I have is to be the player with the most gold. However, in this case I'm also looking at the final objectives, which are both related to the loyalty track, so that might influence my decision here. The Automa's already started with 2 gold, so if it manages to get to an action space early on, that will be a problem for me. So I'm going to move the samurai down here. And this is one of the split tiles here where you can choose either 1 food or 2 gold. I'm going to choose the 2 gold option here. Now let's see where the Automa are going to move their resources here. I hope everything fits in the frame, and see where the Automa is going to be moving. So they're going to be moving the samurai. Oops, I didn't actually mark it. The samurai is not available, so it's going to be the geisha is going to take a move. There's only one space the geisha can move, which is here to the loyalty. And this is quite a big start for the Automa. We have 2 loyalty icons here, which means it's going to take 2 favor tokens. So let's leave one of them here. Let's not leave the Sia clan out. Now the Automa has 3 favor tokens. Any other additional loyalty actions will actually push the Automa further up the loyalty tracks. So next action for me, I can either take the 2 food or a golden food and start to build something. I don't have any favor to build any of the clan buildings. The Yatai is looking tempting here, but I think what I will do is take the 2 food for now with the sumo. So next I think the samurai is going to have to move because the ninja is blocked in. So we know it's the samurai, and the Automa is going to move it to the right, which is here to the double action space. So the Automa is going to look and see if it's winning the first objective. It is not, so it's just going to gain 1 point instead and leave that objective unscored. I think it's actually sensible sometimes to let the Automa win those early objectives and focus on the later game ones before it has time to catch up. So I have 1 move available, which is to move the geisha here and take 1 favor token. There we go. Next move from the Automa will be the geisha's covered, the samurai's covered, the ninja. The ninja also only has 1 move available, so it's going to go left to the 2 loyalty space. So what that means now is because the Automa is already at 3 favor, it hasn't spent any of it getting any of those buildings. It's going to move up both of its loyalty markers 2 spaces on the tracks, and then it can trigger these other actions. So this is going to be quite a big turn for the Automa. We can trigger this one first, which is the action. Again, it's still not winning that objective. It has 2 gold, we're tied, so the Automa is going to get 1 point. And then the build space. Now the way I tend to do the build, because it chooses one of these buildings randomly and then sees is it able to build it or not, what I do is just collect them all up into my hand, give them a little bit of a shake, and just pick one out randomly. Now you can of course use a dice for this if you want, or whatever method of randomization you really want. I find it doesn't take too long to pick it up. So the one that's come out is the tea house. The Automa definitely can afford it, so it's going to spend 2 food and 1 of its favor tokens to gain the tea house. And because it's picked up a Shinchoku building, it's going to move up one space on the loyalty track. We still have the other tile to resolve as well, which is an action space. Again, it is not winning the gold objective, so it scores 1 point. So quite a successful turn for the Automa there, managing to hit both of those tiles. So I'm going to have to do some catching up here. So I'm going to move I would like to move the Samurai up here for a build action actually, but I don't want to expose that space in case the Automa moves the Samurai or moves the Sumo into an action space. What I can do is look at these cards, and actually if I see that the first three that have gone is the Samurai, the Ninja and the Geisha. So actually the next card for sure has the Sumo acting first. So there's a small chance, I would say a 1 in 3 in this case, that the Sumo ends up moving left. Although, if I look at the movement cards, which is down, right, and up, actually I can see for sure the Sumo is going to move into that action space. So this is why I really don't want to let the Automa do that, scoring another point and getting the game potentially out of reach here. So I'm going to move down here and look to buy one of these buildings. We have a lot of loyalty spaces on the board actually, so I am going to go for the Orchard and start turning. It's cost me a favor as well and moves me up the blue track. I'm going to start trying to turn some of those favor tokens into extra resources, see if I can get ahead on some of these other objectives. So the next card is, oops, of course we know what's happening here is the Sumo is going to move left. The Sumo is unavailable, so the next one is the Ninja. The Ninja is also unavailable, so the Samurai. And the Samurai is going to move left. Now with these split ones, because the Automa can't always make a choice, it actually gains both of those resources. So it's going to gain 1 food and 2 gold, which I'm going to take a 3 and put 1 back. So these split spaces are also very powerful for the Automa. Basically, the Automa is only so smart by this AI, as you can see. I'm going to shuffle these cards now for the next turn. So some of that not smartness, shall we say politely, is made up for in sort of the raw power of what the Automa can do. So I'm in a position here where I can start getting points, although I've just spent my gold on the Orchard and now the Automa is actually winning that first objective with 4 gold to my 1, so scoring that is going to be an issue. That said, I don't have anything else to do with the Ninja except to move it up here, and I think that is pretty much everything I can do. There's nothing I want to trade. There's no... What I may do actually is, given the Automa is going to get a point anyway, I think I will score this first objective and give it that 1 point. Let's just nudge that along there. Seeing as it's going to get a point from that anyway, I want to start looking up some of those later objectives and try to catch up on points there. Okay, onto the Automa's turn. It is going to move the Sumo up. That's quite good news for me. I didn't want it to move the Geisha to this loyalty space and start wrecking up further on those tracks. So it's taking 2 food, and that's the Automa's turn done. Next objective requires buildings, the amount of food spent on buildings. At the moment I've spent 1 on the Orchard, whereas the Automa has spent 2 on the tea house, so I'm a little bit behind there. I'm going to move the Geisha to this space. Oops, I think, there we go. And consider what my options are here. Now moving up the loyalty tracks actually might not be the best idea, because I kind of want to save these action triggers for a time when I can make the best use of them. That said, there's only 1 action space on this board, which is in the middle, which is it's fine, it's an easy one to get to, but there's only 1 of them, so there's going to be a lot of contention around that for scoring points later. So what I think I'll do is move up 1 space on the loyalty track here and take 1 favor token here. So ready myself for the next step here. Next up we have the Samurai. It can't move right, can't move left, so it's going to move down, and it's going to take a favor token. Now this space is a weaker one, it just gives you a favor token, but it does of course allow the Automa to make better use of those loyalty spaces later on. So do I want to try and build something here? We have an objective coming up that requires gold or gold cost of buildings. What I will do is move the Sumo. Actually, makes far more sense to move the Ninja, I think. I'm risking leaving this space open, but take a gold or a food. In this case, I think I will take a gold, and I'm going to spend all of that on the Gunsmith. So the gunsmith here will allow me to spend an action and 3 food to take away a point from the automa. It also gives me an extra gold. I've now spent 3 gold on buildings. It can help me lock up this this next objective. The ninja is not available, so the sumo is here, and the automa is going to move the sumo down onto the build space. So we only have 4 buildings left. One change in loyalty and deceit also is normally once the automa has gained 3 points, 3 buildings, it will start gaining points instead of buildings. Now, because there are 7 buildings available, actually the automa will stop at 4 buildings. So I've drawn the samurai, the stables. Before we go for my words a little bit. The automa can definitely afford the stables, so it's going to buy that. There we go. It now has the tea house and the stables. On to my turn. So I'm still not winning this next objective. Again, it's looking a little bit out of sight for me at the moment, even if I can manage to buy the yatai, or I need to get a bunch of buildings to gain the castle. I think I would like the automa actually to be able to score that one and win it, so I'm going to spend my turn moving the samurai instead to take 2 gold and start gaining some resources. Hopefully I can turn those into something useful. The yatai would work quite well with the gunsmith, and of course as the automa manages to lock everything up, I'm going to want to use the gunsmith to take points away from it, but it might outpace me there. So finally we have the geisha, and the geisha is going to go left. I actually would have quite liked the automa to score the objective here, but that's okay. Now on this base it's going to gain a favour, but it's already at maximum favour, so the same as if it had maximum gold or maximum food, it's just not going to be able to take that resource. So a small window of opportunity for me there. Right, this double loyalty space is a very good one for this game, with the final objectives being based on the loyalty track. So I'm going to take that opportunity now. One downside, of course, if you remember some of the rules, is only being able to score 1 objective per turn. So even though I'm potentially going to be able to activate 2 of these tiles at once, I'm still not going to be able to score 2 of these objectives. So I'd really like to go on to the next one. There is a risk, of course, of triggering this one, the food cost of buildings, that if the automa scores the split objective, they can score whichever one they choose if they win either of them. So same for me, I'm currently winning on the gold cost of buildings, but I'm not ahead on gold at the moment. So it's a little bit risky if I score this food objective now and leave the next one open for the automa. What I'm going to do is I'm going to actually take 2 favour from both. So the risk here is I'm missing out on moving up these tracks, which is potentially costing me points in the later game. But I have the orchard, so I can trade one of these favour for a gold or a food. Like the other buildings, the orchard is once per turn, but using favour to get more resources might really help me out in this game. So time for a shuffle. Feeling under the pressure here at 4 points to 0. Hoping I can have time to catch up a little bit, but if I delay too long, the automa is going to score points from buildings and from the loyalty track. The geisha is not available, the samurai is available, and the automa is going to move it here, and it's going to score that objective. That's good news, because that leaves the next objective open for me, which I'm now tied for gold, but also I'm winning on gold spent on buildings, so comfortably I can score a couple of points there, and the automa gains a point. So for my turn, I'm going to take the loyalty action. Now which side? I prefer the Shinchoku side if possible, so I'm going to move here, which gives me an action and a build. First thing I want to do is score this objective for 2 points. So finally got a couple of points on the board. And then I can build something. I'm actually going to build, this is interesting, I could build either the yatai or the toll gate here. I think I'm going to build the yatai. And try and make use of it when we get to here, the next time I have an action available to gain even more resources, although it's looking like I'm going to be using the action space to score points more if possible. I'm also going to trade in my 1 favour for a gold and a food here, so making use of that orchard. Let's just trade these gold tokens up as well. So I have 4 gold and a food. It would be nice if I could get to this castle. So the automaton. The ninja is unavailable, the sumo is available, and the sumo is going to move right. So here now the Automa is going to be building one of these remaining 2 buildings. Of course, if the Automa can't build, if I have 4 of the buildings, then it's just going to be gaining points anyway. So the toll gate, the Automa can definitely afford that. So let's buy the toll gate and spend a favour. Okay, this is where I can start getting some more points from the final objectives here with this double loyalty space open. Now leaving this space and moving the geisha here would potentially allow the sumo to move up here to the build space, and the only building left is the castle, which the Automa can't afford to buy, even though it could spend some of these favours as individual resources. Because it can't buy the castle, it will gain a point instead, and it's getting a little bit close to the end here. So I'm going to move the samurai instead of the geisha here to gain 2 points on the loyalty track. I'm going to move up 1 here. And it is very tempting to move up another space here and trigger this action, but there's actually nothing really. I don't have the resources. I can gain 2 food, but that doesn't really help me. We're tied on the next track, which means the Automa would be gaining a point there. So I'm going to move up 2 spaces on the loyalty track instead. Next action is the samurai, then the geisha. So the geisha is going to move up here, and it's going to get a food and 2 gold. Very good. Interesting in this game, the way things have panned out. Sometimes the Automa ends up getting a lot of resources that it's able to take advantage of, and it maxes out pretty quickly. In this game, I think having bought a few buildings, it's spent some of those resources. I'm definitely. Oops, we need to move the daimyo marker here. Nearly saw an opportunity to take that scoring space, but it was not to be. So I would like to get that castle perhaps if I can get just a few more resources. I have the option of getting 1 resource and building, which is not something I can do yet, although it might be useful to sacrifice one of those buildings for a point. Remembering also that the Automa, if it moves here, is also going to be gaining a point. And I'm exposing the samurai here, so actually there's a good chance that by moving the sumo, the samurai is going to be able to move to build, which will gain it a point. It will move to an action, which will gain it a point because it's not winning this one. Or if it ends up moving the ninja, which could be next, I'm not sure. If it ends up moving the ninja, it will also be hitting that build space. So I think, although it's not ideal from me, I want to move the ninja here. I'm going to take a food. There's nothing I want to build, but I think I might not have enough time to buy the castle and make use of my gunsmith here. I also think when I bought the gunsmith, I might have forgotten to move myself up one of the spaces on this loyalty track, I'm not sure. But I'm going to ditch the gunsmith to get 1 point. Oh, and remember to move my daimyo marker here. So the last space is it's going to be the sumo, and the sumo is moving up. So we're going to get 2 food for the Automa. That's good. I'm happy if the Automa's getting resources and not scoring points this close to the end of the game. So, good time for me to use the samurai here. Now remember, if I move the samurai, then by the time my daimyo marker comes off, it's going to be available, and there's a risk here that the Automa gets to this nice double loyalty space. So I think I'm going to take the geisha instead. For a double action, the first one will be to score the Shinchoku track. I'm the highest at 4 against 3 and score 2 points. And the second action will be to take 2 food. So if I can get enough resources together to get the castle here, I'm in pretty good shape. Let's see what the Automa is going to do next. Hopefully it will be moving the ninja and not the samurai. So it is going to be moving the ninja, and the ninja is going to be moving left onto the loyalty space. Now it doesn't yet have 3 favour, so it's just going to take a favour token. It doesn't really have a way to spend these favour now that all of the clan buildings are gone, so this is a point, it's another sort of timer in the game where it's now going to be pushing up each of those loyalty tracks, and once it gets to space 5 of those loyalty tracks, it's going to be able to start gaining points there. But hopefully you could end this game before it gets to that state. I'm going to move the samurai here actually and take the one favor. It's not a great move, but because I can trade that favor for a gold and a food using the orchard, I'm now well set up that if I can get to a build space, I will be able to get the castle. Also, these 5 resources either way means even if I don't get to a build space, if I can get to an action space, perhaps even through this tile on the loyalty track, I'll be able to trade them in for 5 points. At the moment, we're tied for the last objective because I'm 1 ahead on the Shinchoku track and the Otoma is 1 ahead on the Suyo track. So let's see what the Otoma is doing. Moving the Sumo. It can't move right and it can't move left, so the Sumo is going to move down. Now the Otoma has 4 gold and 4 food. So it can't quite buy the castle, which means it's going to gain a point. So 1 point to go from the Otoma. There's not really an opportunity. Yes, there is. I think I can now win this game by moving the ninja here, taking either a gold or a food. We'll take a gold and spending 5 resources on the castle, giving me 2 points and winning the game. So I wasn't too confident at the start of that game that I'd be able to catch up, but being in a position to control some of the objectives later in the game really did help. This was a good game to get to see how the Otoma handles the loyalty tracks. Once it has 3 favor tokens, it will move up both tracks simultaneously, which was a good fit for this game with the final objective. You'll see how it moves up the tracks whenever it buys a building of that particular type. It's possible also I might have missed an extra move here, I think from buying the toll gate as well. So actually the Otoma was probably winning that last objective. So good thing that I didn't score that one there. And yeah, you get to see how the Otoma handles these split objectives. Also some of these tiles like this one that have a cost, where you have an optional cost to pay a favor for a second action. The Otoma is not going to pay those costs and it's just going to use whatever the free part of the tile is. So I hope you enjoyed the solo playthrough. It took around 20 minutes, which is not bad for a solo game. Can be a little bit quicker when you're not narrating it, or it can be a little bit longer if you have some difficult decisions to make. And that was it. So thanks for watching.